Have you ever felt the hair on the back of your neck stand up while riding the subway late at night? The dim lights, the echoing footsteps, and the sense that someone or something is watching you? New York City, with its towering skyscrapers and bustling streets, holds a secret beneath its surface. Deep within the shadows of its subway system lies a world unknown to most, a world where the forgotten and forsaken congregate, bound by sinister rituals and macabre ceremonies. This is the tale of Subway Shadows, Cult Beneath New York, a chilling journey into the heart of the city's most haunting mystery. Hold tight as we delve into the eerie whispers and ominous shadows that lurk just out of sight. Are you ready to face the nightmare that unfolds in the depths below?
It started with the whispers. I'd been working late shifts for the subway maintenance crew, navigating the labyrinthine tunnels beneath New York City. On particularly quiet nights, I'd hear faint murmurs echoing through the abandoned passageways. At first, I dismissed them as echoes of the city's bustle above. But then I found the symbols, strange, eerie markings etched into the grime-covered walls, almost like ancient runes. Their sinister shapes seemed to glow faintly under my flashlight, casting shadows that danced with a life of their own. One night, as I was inspecting a particularly forsaken section of the tunnels, I stumbled upon an array of macabre objects. Dolls with missing eyes, candles burnt to stubs, and what looked like blood-stained rags. The sight sent a chill down my spine. It felt as if the air grew colder, more malevolent, the further I ventured. An overwhelming sense of dread washed over me, making me feel as though I was trespassing on sacred ground, a place forsaken by light and hope. My flashlight flickered, and in that brief moment of darkness, I heard it again, whispers clearer this time, almost intelligible. They spoke of torment and despair, of a curse that lingered in the shadows. My heart pounded as I backed away, feeling the presence of unseen eyes watching me. It was then I noticed an old, tattered book lying amidst the ritualistic debris. Its pages were filled with ominous symbols and cryptic text, alluding to some ancient, supernatural practices. The following nights, I couldn't shake the feeling of being followed. Every creak, every distant sound felt like a haunting reminder of what I had stumbled upon. I began to notice figures in the shadows, specters that seemed to vanish the moment I turned to look. The subway had always been a place of desolation and decay, but now it felt like a living nightmare, a place where reality and the supernatural intertwined in a chilling dance. My colleagues thought I was imagining things, but the fear was real. I started seeing the same symbols on the walls of stations, in graffiti that seemed too deliberate to be random. The sense of an ominous presence grew stronger, more palpable with every shift. I knew I had to uncover the truth behind these eerie occurrences before the desolation of the tunnels consumed me entirely. With the symbols and macabre findings haunting my thoughts, I began to dig deeper. Nights turned into hours of research, poring over old newspapers and obscure forums. What I found was chilling. Reports of disappearances dating back decades, all linked to the subway tunnels. The missing were often the homeless, the forsaken souls of the city, whose absence went largely unnoticed. It seemed that the dark history of New York's underground was steeped in malevolent secrets, an eerie underworld beneath the bustling metropolis. Patterns emerged, connecting the symbols to an ancient, sinister sect that performed supernatural rituals. This sect was rumored to summon entities from the shadows, feeding off the desolation and dread of their victims. The more I read, the more convinced I became that this wasn't mere folklore. There were too many detailed accounts, too many coincidences. The subway, with its endless tunnels and forgotten corners, was the perfect hiding place for such malevolent activities. As my suspicions grew, so did the fear. The whispers I'd heard, the eerie apparitions, they all began to make sense. This wasn't just an urban legend. It was a chilling reality lurking just beneath the surface. I compiled every piece of information I could find, creating a timeline of events that painted a sinister picture. The idea of a curse, a supernatural force lingering in the tunnels, seemed less far-fetched with each passing day. The more I learned, the more isolated I felt. My colleagues brushed off my concerns, dismissing them as paranoid fantasies. But the signs were too clear to ignore. The symbols were spreading, appearing in places they shouldn't. I began to question my sanity, the constant dread gnawing at my mind. Sleep became a fleeting luxury, as nightmares of the macabre rituals and malevolent figures plagued my nights. Determined to uncover the truth, I decided to venture deeper into the subway's abandoned sections. Armed with a camera and the old book I found, I prepared myself for whatever horrors lay ahead. I knew I was stepping into a forsaken world, one that blurred the lines between nightmare and reality. The dread was palpable, but so was my resolve. I had to know what dark force was haunting the tunnels and why it had chosen the city's most vulnerable as its victims. Exploring the dark underbelly of New York was both fascinating and terrifying. By day, the city's iconic landmarks, Central Park, Times Square, the Statue of Liberty, shone brightly, drawing millions of visitors. But by night, the shadows grew longer, and the city's sinister secrets began to whisper. The contrast was stark. Above ground, a city of dreams; below, a labyrinth of dread and desolation. My investigation took me to areas known for their high concentration of homeless individuals, places where the whispers of the tunnels echoed the loudest. In my search, I visited the abandoned stations, places long forgotten by the general public but frequented by those who had nowhere else to go. The eerie silence of these places was broken only by the occasional drip of water or the scuttle of unseen creatures. It was here that I felt the weight of the city's forsaken souls the most, an overwhelming sense of desolation that clung to the walls like mold. The graffiti, often beautiful above ground, took on a more sinister tone here, filled with symbols and warnings I was beginning to understand all too well. The city's homeless population, often ignored and invisible, began to take on a more ominous presence. Their eyes, once glazed with hopelessness, now seemed to glint with a hidden knowledge, a shared torment. They moved through the shadows with an unsettling grace, whispering amongst themselves in hushed tones. It became clear that they were not just victims but also participants in whatever dark ritual was unfolding beneath the city. During one of my explorations, I stumbled upon a makeshift shrine in an abandoned subway car. Candles flickered in the darkness, casting eerie shadows on the walls adorned with the same ominous symbols. The air was thick with the scent of decay and something else, something malevolent. As I stood there, the whispers grew louder, more insistent, as if urging me to leave. But I couldn't. I had to know what dark force was at play, what ancient curse had taken root in the city's underbelly. The deeper I delved, the more I realized that New York's face was not just what was visible on the surface. The city's true essence lay in its shadows, in the desolation of its forgotten places and people. It was a city of contrasts, where light and darkness coexisted, often overlapping in the most haunting of ways. And it was in these overlaps that I hoped to find the answers, to uncover the truth behind the macabre happenings in the subway. As I ventured deeper into the investigation, I encountered numerous obstacles. Some of the clues I followed led to dead ends, false trails that seemed almost deliberately placed to throw me off. The more I probed, the more resistance I faced. Encounters with hostile homeless individuals became more frequent. Their eyes, filled with a sinister gleam, warned me to stay away, to abandon my quest. The sense of an ominous presence watching my every move grew stronger, more palpable with each step I took. Even my colleagues began to question my sanity. They saw the dark circles under my eyes, heard my frantic recounting of the eerie happenings in the tunnels, and dismissed them as the ravings of an overworked mind. Their skepticism only fueled my determination. I knew what I had seen, what I had heard. The desolation of the subway was not just physical but also spiritual, a haunting reminder of the malevolent force that lurked beneath the city. One night, while reviewing footage from my camera, I noticed something chilling. Shadows moved independently of any light source, darting across the screen in ways that defied explanation. In one clip, a shadowy figure stood at the edge of the frame, watching me with what felt like malevolent intent. It vanished the moment I turned the camera toward it, leaving behind an eerie silence. The torment of not knowing what was real and what was a product of my increasingly paranoid mind began to take its toll. The nightmares worsened. Each night, I dreamed of the macabre rituals, of the sinister figures that performed them. I saw the faces of the homeless, twisted in torment, their eyes pleading for release from the curse that bound them. The line between my waking hours and the desolation of my dreams began to blur, each day bringing new horrors that felt all too real. The whispers followed me everywhere, a constant reminder of the sinister force that awaited in the shadows. Determined to push forward, I decided to confront the homeless individuals directly. Their reactions ranged from fear to hostility, but I managed to glean fragments of information. They spoke of a curse, a malevolent specter that haunted the tunnels, demanding sacrifices to appease its wrath. The more I learned, the clearer it became that I was dealing with something far beyond my comprehension, a force that had roots deep in the city's dark history. The investigation began to take a severe toll on my mental state. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the eerie symbols, heard the whispers growing louder. The macabre imagery invaded my dreams, turning them into relentless nightmares. I woke up drenched in sweat, haunted by the specters that seemed to lurk just beyond the veil of sleep. Paranoia crept into my waking hours, making me jump at every shadow, every unexpected sound. I felt like a puppet, my strings pulled by some malevolent force lurking in the darkness. Walking through the city, I felt the weight of unseen eyes upon me. The bustling streets and bright lights offered no solace. Instead, they only heightened my sense of dread. It was as if the city's shadowy underbelly was reaching up, trying to drag me down into its desolation. The faces of the homeless haunted me, their eyes glinting with the knowledge of something sinister, something I could barely comprehend. The once familiar sights of New York now seemed ominous, each corner a potential hiding place for the malevolent force I was chasing. Friends and family noticed the change in me. They asked what was wrong, but I couldn't explain. How could I convey the torment of being haunted by something so sinister, so intangible? They wouldn't understand the dread that followed me, the whispers that echoed in my mind. The isolation grew, as did the feeling of being trapped in a nightmare with no escape. The desolation of the tunnels had seeped into my soul, making me a prisoner of my own fears. One evening, as I walked home, I noticed a shadow following me. It moved when I moved, stopping when I stopped. Panic set in, my heart racing as I quickened my pace. The shadow kept pace, a malevolent presence that seemed to revel in my fear. I darted into a crowded cafe, hoping to lose it in the throng of people. But even there, I felt its eyes on me, a chilling reminder that there was no escape. The torment was relentless, a constant reminder of the supernatural force that haunted me. I began to doubt my own sanity. Was I truly seeing these things, or had the desolation of the subway driven me to the brink? The symbols, the whispers, the shadows, they were all too real, too sinister to be mere figments of my imagination. Yet, The world around me remained oblivious, blissfully unaware of the malevolent force lurking beneath its surface. The chilling reality of my situation weighed heavily on me, each day a struggle to maintain a semblance of normalcy amidst the nightmare. In my relentless pursuit of answers, I uncovered a connection that sent shivers down my spine. The symbols I had seen, the eerie markings that seemed to glow with malevolent intent, were part of an ancient language used by a long-forgotten sect. This sect, known for its dark rituals, believed in summoning entities from the shadows, feeding off the fear and despair of their victims. The desolation of the subway, with its endless darkness and abandoned passageways, was the perfect breeding ground for such malevolent activities. I traced the sect's origins back to medieval Europe, where they were known for their sinister practices. Over the centuries, they had migrated, their dark legacy following them to the New World. New York, with its bustling streets and hidden depths, had become the latest stage for their macabre rituals. The more I learned, the clearer it became that the city's homeless population was both a target and a conduit for their dark deeds. The sect thrived on the desolation and despair that permeated the subway, drawing power from the souls trapped in its depths. As I pieced together the fragments of information, a chilling pattern emerged. The symbols, the whispers, the shadows, they were all connected, part of a larger, more sinister tapestry. The homeless individuals I had encountered were not just victims. They were unwilling participants in a dark ritual, their torment feeding the malevolent force that haunted the tunnels. The sect's influence was far-reaching, its dark tendrils woven into the very fabric of the city. One night, while researching, I stumbled upon a diary from the early 20th century. Its pages were filled with accounts of eerie happenings in the subway, mirroring my own experiences. The author spoke of a curse, a malevolent presence that demanded sacrifices to appease its wrath. The descriptions matched the symbols I had seen, the whispers I had heard. It was a chilling confirmation that the desolation of the subway was not just physical but also spiritual, a manifestation of the sect's dark power. Determined to break the cycle, I knew I had to confront the sect directly. Armed with the knowledge I had gathered, I ventured deeper into the tunnels, prepared to face whatever horrors awaited. The dread was palpable, but so was my resolve. I had to put an end to the malevolent force that haunted the city's underbelly, to free the souls trapped in its desolation. The darkness seemed to close in around me, but I pressed on, driven by a sense of duty and a desire to uncover the truth. The final descent into the heart of the subway's darkness was fraught with terror. The air grew colder, the whispers louder, as if the very walls were alive with malevolent intent. Armed with the old book and a resolve forged in fear, I ventured into the deepest, most abandoned sections of the tunnels. The desolation here was overwhelming, a palpable force that seemed to sap my strength, feeding off my dread. Each step felt like an eternity, the shadows closing in around me, whispering secrets of torment and despair. As I neared the heart of the sect's domain, I stumbled upon a chamber, hidden deep within the bowels of the subway. The walls were adorned with the same eerie symbols, glowing faintly in the darkness. In the center, a circle of candles surrounded a makeshift altar, covered in blood-stained cloth. The air was thick with the scent of decay and something far more sinister, a malevolent presence that seemed to seep into my very soul. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, as if urging me to leave. But I couldn't. This was the heart of the desolation, the source of the torment that haunted the subway. I had to face it, to confront the malevolent force that had claimed so many lives. As I approached the altar, the shadows seemed to come alive, coalescing into a figure that stood before me. Its eyes glowed with a malevolent light, its form shifting and writhing in the darkness. The whispers crescendoed, filling the chamber with a cacophony of torment and despair. Drawing on every ounce of courage, I confronted the entity. The old book in my hand seemed to pulse with a life of its own, its pages glowing with a faint, eerie light. I recited the words I had memorized, ancient incantations meant to banish the darkness. The entity writhed and twisted, its form distorting in the light. The air crackled with energy, a tangible force that seemed to push back against the darkness. The desolation that had pervaded the tunnels began to lift, replaced by a sense of hope and light. As the final words left my lips, the entity let out a piercing scream, its form dissipating into the shadows. The candles flickered and died, leaving the chamber in darkness. But the oppressive sense of dread was gone, replaced by a profound silence. The desolation that had haunted the subway was lifting, the curse broken. The symbols on the walls faded, their malevolent power extinguished. I had done it. The malevolent force that had plagued the city's underbelly was no more. With the malevolent force banished, the subway felt like a different place. The oppressive dread that had pervaded its depths was gone, replaced by a sense of peace. The symbols that had once glowed with sinister intent were now just faint markings on the walls, their power extinguished. The homeless individuals I had encountered began to emerge from the shadows, their eyes no longer haunted by the specters of torment. It was as if a weight had been lifted, the desolation that had bound them released. In the days that followed, I shared my findings with my colleagues. Their skepticism turned to astonishment as I recounted the events, the dark history of the subway, and the ancient sect that had haunted its depths. The evidence was irrefutable, the symbols, the whispers, the entity itself, a chilling confirmation of the supernatural force that had lurked beneath the city. My story spread, becoming a cautionary tale of the hidden dangers that lay beneath the surface of New York. But the experience had changed me. The desolation I had faced, the torment of the shadows, had left a lasting mark on my soul. I could no longer walk the streets of the city without feeling the weight of its dark history, the malevolent force that had once haunted its depths. The whispers still echoed in my mind, a chilling reminder of the horrors I had faced. Yet, there was also a sense of hope, a realization that even in the darkest places, light could prevail. The city, for all its desolation and despair, was also a place of resilience and strength. The homeless individuals who had once been tormented by the malevolent force began to rebuild their lives, their eyes filled with a newfound hope. The subway, once a place of dread, became a symbol of the city's ability to overcome even the darkest of forces. The desolation that had haunted its depths was no more, replaced by a sense of peace and light. My journey through the dark underbelly of New York had been a harrowing one, filled with terror and despair, but it had also been a journey of discovery, a revelation of the hidden depths of the city and the resilience of its people. The desolation I had faced was a reminder of the darkness that lurks beneath the surface, but also a testament to the light that can overcome it. The subway, once a place of torment, was now a place of hope, a symbol of the city's strength and resilience. In the aftermath of the ordeal, I made a startling discovery. Among the remnants of the sect's lair, I found a journal, its pages filled with detailed accounts of the dark rituals and the malevolent force that had haunted the subway. The journal belonged to one of the sect's members, a man who had once been a respected scholar before being drawn into the sect's sinister practices. His writings were a chilling testament to the power of the malevolent force and the desolation it had wrought. As I read through the journal, I uncovered a series of detailed rituals meant to summon and control the entity. The descriptions were graphic, filled with accounts of the torment and despair inflicted upon the sect's victims. But there was also a glimmer of hope. The final pages detailed a ritual to banish the entity, to break the curse that had haunted the subway. It was the same ritual I had performed, a chilling confirmation that I had indeed succeeded in breaking the malevolent force's hold on the city. But the journal also contained a warning. The malevolent force was not destroyed, merely banished. It would return, drawn to places of desolation and despair, feeding off the fear and torment of its victims. The sect's influence was far-reaching, its dark tendrils woven into the very fabric of the city. The desolation that had haunted the subway was just one manifestation of its power, a chilling reminder that the darkness was never truly gone. The discovery of the journal was both a revelation and a burden. It confirmed my worst fears, that the malevolent force would return, that the desolation I had faced was just the beginning. But it also provided a roadmap, a way to combat the darkness and protect the city from its malevolent influence. The journal became my guide, a source of knowledge and strength as I prepared for the battles to come. The subway, once a place of torment, was now a place of vigilance. The symbols and whispers were gone, but the memory of the desolation remained. It was a reminder of the darkness that lurked beneath the surface, a chilling testament to the malevolent force that had haunted the city's depths. But it was also a symbol of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest places, light could prevail. With the journal in hand, I embarked on a new journey, determined to uncover and combat the malevolent forces that lurked beneath the surface of the city. The desolation of the subway had been just the beginning, a chilling reminder of the darkness that haunted the city's depths. But it had also been a revelation, a testament to the power of resilience and hope. The journey ahead would be fraught with danger and despair, but I was ready, armed with the knowledge and strength I had gained from my ordeal. The city, for all its desolation and despair, was also a place of hope and resilience. The homeless individuals who had once been tormented by the malevolent force began to rebuild their lives, their eyes filled with a newfound strength. The subway, once a place of dread, became a symbol of the city's ability to overcome even the darkest of forces. The desolation that had haunted its depths was no more, replaced by a sense of peace and light. My journey through the dark underbelly of New York had been a harrowing one, filled with terror and despair, but it had also been a journey of discovery, a revelation of the hidden depths of the city and the resilience of its people. The desolation I had faced was a reminder of the darkness that lurks beneath the surface, but also a testament to the light that can overcome it. The subway, once a place of torment, was now a place of hope, a symbol of the city's strength and resilience. As I prepared for the battles to come, I knew that the journey would be long and fraught with danger. But I was ready, armed with the knowledge and strength I had gained from my ordeal. The desolation of the subway had been just the beginning, a chilling reminder of the darkness that haunted the city's depths. But it had also been a revelation, a testament to the power of resilience and hope. The journey ahead would be challenging, but I was prepared, ready to face whatever malevolent forces awaited.
As you navigate the labyrinthine tunnels of New York City's subway system, remember the chilling tale of subway shadows, cult beneath New York. The eerie whispers and ominous shadows that seem to be just urban legends might be more real than you think. Have you ever felt that unsettling sensation that you're being watched? There be something sinister lurking in the depths, hidden among the forsaken? Stay vigilant and keep your senses sharp, for the next time you ride the subway, you might just become part of the haunting story yourself. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments. Have you ever encountered something unexplainable in the subway? Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell to stay tuned for more spine-chilling stories.